JavaScript arrays. Previously we looked at so much. Just in case this is your first time on this channel, you can visit Code with Owen. There is a lot from basically HTML and CSS up to JavaScript, functions, operators, arrays, objects, data types, variables, and so on. So in case it's your first video, or in case you're not familiar with whatever we're going to do, kindly take time and go and revisit all this. So today I will take you through JavaScript arrays. So last time we looked at arrays, but we didn't go deep. What is an array? Like we said earlier, it's a list of objects. It's a list like object that stores multiple values. For example, we do have an array of fruits. I will say fruits equals to this is how we write an array. We've got an apple, we've got a banana, and then we've got a mango. So these arrays are essentials you must know before you dive into React, or you're looking at building dynamic websites using JavaScript, because they are so much required. So this is an array of fruits, and here are some important methods. Method number one we shall look at is the dot push. The dot push method. So this is used to add to end. So this is used to add objects, or to add items on the end. For example, I will say fruits dot, if I say fruits dot push and I say orange, you'll find that I do not have orange. I do not have orange in my list, but then you find that when I console, I will, let me do this. I will, if I console.log fruits, you find that I've got fruits in my array included. For example, if we go back, open our terminal, and okay, we could do this. We could just go live. So after opening the live server, I will right click, inspect, and looking at our console. Okay, this here is an array. This here is an array, and it has got apple, banana, mango, and orange. But in our original array, we didn't have oranges in our array. So this is how we use the dot push. That we use dot push to add an item into an array. The other we are going to look at is called the dot pop. Dot pop. So what does the dot pop do? Dot pop removes the last item from an array. Removes a last item from array. For example, still we shall use the fruits, and this time we shall say fruits dot pop. When you do this and still console.log of fruits, we will find that we do not we eliminate the the last item, that is the mango must go. And when you look at our array, should we refresh this? What do we have? Console.log. This I could not find. Okay, it should be fruits. And when we go back, you will find that we've got 1, 2. We've got let me leave this push. We've got banana and mango and orange should be included. Okay, we've got banana, mango, and orange. So The pop removes an item on the last. What we're going to look at next is a method called unshift. So we normally use this unshift, and unshift, what it does is it adds an item, and we must specify which item we are adding. For example, I can say okay, grape. I could say we're going to use grape. So when I do come here, I will say fruits dot unshift. So when we do add unshift, we add what we want to add. For example, I need to add grapes, and when we do console.log fruits, this time we should have orange grapes inclusive in the array, and then grapes should be the first, because the unshift adds an object or an item on the start of the array. For example, if we come and check our console, we'll find that grapes is indexed as 0, so it is the first in the array. Proceeding, we've got what we call shift. And shift adds and shift removes from an array. For example, I will come and say fruits dot shift. So shift, what it does, it removes an item, and let's say we want to remove banana. Okay, no, what we shall do is list shift. Unshift removes from the first. Unshift adds an item to be the first in an array, and shift always removes the first item or object in the array. For example, if we do fruits.shift, it will remove grapes, and when we check our console, you will find that we do not have grapes in our array. Shift adds and shift removes. Then we have what we call the dot map. So the dot map, I will comment out this first. I will comment out all that. So we've got the map. So what does the map do? The map creates a new array by transforming each item. It runs a function on each item, and it returns a new array. For example, let's say we've got a const. Let's call this numbers. This is an array of numbers 1, 2, and 3. So what do we want? We want to, let's say we would like to double these numbers. We want to double each number. For example, 1 to be 2, and 2 to be 2 times, and 3 to be 3 times. So what we do is we could just declare a new array called doubled, and when we say this is an array called doubled, we say equals to, we have numbers, and we say dot map. So within this we take in a variable n to be equal to n, which is the number we have, and we need to double this. We could say times 2. So what this function is going to do is it is going to call numbers, and then for each number in the numbers array, it is going to multiply it by 2. So when we say console.log doubled, we should have let's see what we have, and we'll have this. Oh, okay, we've got 1 times 2 to be 2, 2 times 2 to be 4, 2 times 3 to be 6. So this is what the map does. We shall look at how we do it still using an array of objects. Then we've got what we call the filter method. So what the filter does so what the filter does is it also creates a new array, but it only returns items that match a certain condition. for example, let's say we do have max. We say const max equal to, can we say 85 for 45, and then we could say 60. I think that's enough. Then we can proceed, and we say maybe we want to filter marks that are above 50 or 50 and above. So what we shall do is we can say const, can we call this first? For, let's say maybe we are looking at a condition whereby if a student got 50 and above, that student passed. So we could say first equals to, we get marks, and we say filter. So we pass in the conditions. For example, if we are filtering for, let's say, m, that's our marks, and this must return values which are greater or equal to let's say 50. That is, if we are looking at we want to return values only marks that are 50 and above, we can add in here 50, 45 and 90. So when we do come and console.log burst, we will be in position to see only marks that are greater than 50. So this is filter gets numbers that are greater or equal to 50. So when we do check our console, you will find that we've got 85, 60, 50 and 90. So this is what the filter does. It returns values that match a certain condition or a given condition. Shall be looking at this with time. We shall have to do some small projects, to do lists and other small projects to practice this. And then we've got the dot find. So what the dot find does, it's called find. I'm calling it dot find. It's not called dot find. I'm calling it dot find because we always use a dot notation every time we have to use these methods. But then this is called the find. And what the find does is it returns the first item that matches a condition. So what we do, for example, let's just use this marks, and what we're going to do is we are going to use this very one. Let's first remove this. So we want to find the first mark that fits a condition that someone passed. For example, we want someone who passed and they got above 50, but then we want to return the very first value, or the value that comes first in an array. So what we do is we can say const first is equal to marks dot find. So what we do, we find m, and this is nearly the same, m, and m is greater or equal to maybe 50. So we are finding the first value that fulfills this condition. We are finding the first value in our array of marks, which is 50 and above. So when we do console.log first, I'm very sure we should get 85 because it is the first fulfilling our condition in the array. For example, okay, cannot access pass before initialization. Okay, let's remove this, and then we do this. So we've got 85, but if we change, let's say we've got here 34 and maybe 51, what shall we get? So we will get 51 because 51 is the first mark that fulfills the condition we are looking at. So that the find looks for the first value, and it's what it returns, unlike for the filter method, which returns all that fulfill a given condition. Proceeding further, we've got what we call for each. The for each, it runs a function on every item, and it does not return a new array. For example, let me say we do have, let's just use max for example. We could say max dot for each, and then we are looking at for each mark. For each mark we must return. So this is what happens when we do for each. We return a function. It will run a function on every item, but we do not return an array. So for each mark we can console.log and use what we call backticks, that the button before your on your keyboard, that's on Windows, before one you that's what has got that's the button with the backticks. So we could say console.log, we could say mark, and we are taking in mark as a variable, and we could say mark. Alright, this is how we use the for each. It does not return an array, and it's good for doing things with each items like logging and all that. I guess we shall look at that. Then we've got what we call includes. So what includes checks if a value is in an array. For example, we can use this fruits, and let me bring it, let me leave it, I'll just use it down here. So includes, we can say fruits dot includes fruits dot includes banana. So this is like a boolean type of data type that it must return. So we can say maybe we say const included, we could say is equal to fruits dot includes banana. This is if we want to check if banana is included in the fruits array. So when we do type included, we could come down here and check, and you see we've got true, and you will find that we've got banana within the array. So what if we change this to maybe to a fruit that does not exist, maybe purple, and when we do check this, you'll find that this is false, meaning purple does not exist in our array. Then we've got what we call index. For example, index basically is used to get the index of a value or the position of a value. For example, we could say fruits, we could say let's first initialize this and say const fruit index. We would say this should be camel cast. Okay, fruit index, and we say this is equal to maybe say fruits dot, we use it and say index of, and we would like to find the index of banana within our array. So what this does is it returns the position of an item within an array, and if we look at this, you will find that okay, fruits. Okay, we can console.log included, and you will find that what do we have, console.log index of fruit index. It should be fruit index, and when we do look at this, we are given 2. It means fruits is found in position number 3, that is index 2. So apple, banana, it is found in position number 2. So that's how we find the index of an item within an array. We've got what we call the join, and basically the join converts an array to a string. It joins all items into a single string. It's separated but by whatever conditions or whatever we provide. For example, we shall still take up the fruits array, and this time we will say maybe, let's say, const new fruits. We will call this new fruits, and we said this will be equals to fruits. We use the join, and within the join we will say maybe we've got this, and we are separating all these with commas. It means we are going to convert into convert this array of fruits into another array. It's a single array to a string, that is a string called new fruits, and we shall join and separate with commas. So what this does is, when we do check our console, we say console.log new fruits, you will find that we do have a list. It's a string of fruits separated with commas. We can instead use another thing. For example, we can use dots, we can use full stops, and these will be separated by full stops. So this is separated by whatever we want. We can use another, we can say maybe let's use this, let's use a plus to separate all those items, and you will find that we've got all this. That's what the join does. Then we've got another method called slice. So what slice does is it copies part of an array into a new array. For example, we could say let's still use fruits. Let's use fruits. I will remove this, and you will say that maybe const, let me say sliced fruits equals to, we will have the fruits, and then we say the slice, and say we want to get fruits from index 0 to index 2. Then we will have to console.log sliced fruits, and when we do come and check on our console, okay, right click, we inspect, so this on the console, this is our console, and we've got an array of two objects, two strings. We've got grapes and apple. So what we did is, looking at our array up here, we've got apple, banana, and mango. Okay, so what slice does, it gets items from, you cannot just this actually, you can slice from the second index up to the fourth index, but for our case we were slicing from the first to the second, from index 0 to index 2. So we get the items within that range, and that is grapes and apple from index 0 to index 2. That's what slice does, and it returns them as an array of within that range, or within that range of index. The other thing we do have is what we call splice. What splice does, splice removes or replaces items. For example, let's use fruits still. We could say fruits. Let's remove, anyway, you can remove this, not confuse us. So we could say let's say const spliced, we could say spliced fruits equals to, we could say we want fruits, and we need to splice this. And what we will do is, we've got one, let's say index 1 and 1, and we need to insert in, for example, kiwi. Is kiwi a fruit? Anyway, let's go with that, since we are not so, it's not so sensitive. So what this does is it can remove or replace items, and it can modify the original arrays. So if we console.log, spliced fruits, let's see what we have. Okay, so at array 50, let me see, at 50 spliced fruits, we've got apple, and we will console.log fruits, so as if apple was either removed or replaced. And then when we do look at our array of fruits, we will find that we've got grapes, kiwi, banana, and mango. So you will find that apple was replaced with kiwi. Why? These parameters we use, the 1 to 1, the 1 and 1, it shows that we are replacing an item in our array that's in position 1, and we need to replace it with a kiwi, or remove it and place in kiwi. So what we do is, at 1 we are removing an item in fruits at position 1, and at that very position 1 we need to add kiwi. So this is how we do use splice. We remove and we can fix in other items within an array. And then the other array methods, we've got what we call, we will comment out this, we've got what we call reduce. So what reduce does is, it reduces an array into a single value. For example, we can use, let's say, do we have numbers up here? Alright, okay, we've got numbers 1 to 3, we shall use that, and we could say const summation, that's sum, is equal to an array that is, for example, we've got numbers, and we would say numbers dot reduce, and we will get within our reduce, we need a total, and we've got a number as our parameters. So we are writing what we call arrow functions. I guess we looked at these, and we will say this must give us a total plus number. So what it does is, we get a number, and then what we're going to do is, we are going to always be adding those numbers until all numbers are done. So this is like another function to carry out summation or addition. And then we've got this, we can add this 0, meaning this 0 is showing that we are reducing an array from index 1, all items from index 1, or ascending, in ascending. And then once we do this, so what reduce does, we can reduce items, we can combine all items into one value. For example, we could get a total, we could get an average, and all that. So that's what the reduce does, and we will proceed further to what we call sort. So can we just console.log and see what we have? Console.log sum. We're looking at this. Okay, is it sum and code reference number is not defined? Okay, we will say numbers. Okay. 55 01 231 231 23. What do we have here? Okay, I've got total. You can say okay, this is an error. It should be a total and a number, and we have here number. So what do we have? We should be having 6, yeah, because when you do add 1 2 3 and 3, you get 6, and this is what we have. So proceeding, we are using the sort, and sorts an items in an array. And what we do is we are going to get this. I will cut this, remove all this, it's too much and confusing. So what we do is, we could say we could say sorted numbers, okay, equal to, we could now say numbers dot sort. So we are sorting numbers, 2 parameters, that is a and b, and we could say using an arrow function, this must return number a to b. So what this does is it sorts alphabetically by default, and we say a sort a comma b, and then we write it as an arrow function returning a minus b at sort numbers. So when we do console.log sorted numbers, we go back to our console, you will find that we've got this in ascending order, that is 1 2 and 3. So just in case we jumble this up, we get 1 from here and we fix it at the end. This should still work. You find that we still have 1 2 and 3. So that's what sort does. We've got what we call a reverse, and this will be our last method to look at. For example, we could still initialize fruits as let's say an array. We could say const fruits as an array of, let's say we have banana, we have apple, and then we do have mango. Isn't this enough? Then we could say const, we could say reversed fruits equal to, we could say this is fruits dot reverse, and we could say fruits dot reverse. So that is it. And when you console.log reversed fruits, you will find that we've got this on our console. You will find that we've got mango, apple, banana, so it will reverse the order. And this is it for JavaScript, as these are array methods. These methods are normally essential because we are going to dive into React in a few, and we all need this. We need this knowledge of these fundamental of JavaScript in order to do well with React. So take your time, you can pause, you can rewind, and you can go back and look at what you didn't understand. But basically, go back here if you still have issues with HTML, CSS. I also made some video with Tailwind, that is where is it? Okay, Tailwind here. You need, if you have time, you've got time, you can go through that and master how to use Tailwind, because it's what we are going to be using in React and time to come, because we don't need to write so much in case a project becomes so big. So basically take time and go through all this, how to use tailwind css, and also mastering all these arrays, objects, variables, and data types, because they are essentials if you're to dive into React. Thank you for